Howdy, folks. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Today we're going to be talking about something that I think is kind of important. There's a lot of talk about wellness and everything going on, and I, for one, am one of those people that think it is a very important topic. So it leads to kind of what I'm talking about. But today, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was household cleaners. Now, we all know that cleaning your house and keeping your house clean is important to health and wellness. That kind of goes without saying in some things. Well, I guess you could think it would go without saying, but judging from some of my soldiers that I had when I was an NCO, it doesn't go without saying because I had to say it to them all the time. But you know, as important as it is to keep your household clean, what you're using to clean it can also have a huge impact on your wellness, and in ways that a lot of people may not realize. Now it's been a trend for probably that was recognized. I want to say it was recognized back in the 80s that there's a lot of cleaners that were causing people to have issues with asthma. So if you're somebody who has issues with asthma, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Just the smell of ammonia and bleach is enough to cause irritation for folks that have asthma. But and then also they're kind of harsh on the skin and that kind of thing. But what they didn't realize was that how much damage it was doing to your lungs, not just causing asthma. Now, there was a study that was done that started in the 90s that was done by the European Community Respiratory Health Survey. And what they did was they went out and they surveyed a whole bunch of people. And what they found over the 20 years of following these individuals was that cleaning with common household cleaners can do as much damage as smoking a pack a day of cigarettes. Now, these were people, these weren't all people who were professional cleaners by any means. These were, there was a percentage of them that, yes, were professional cleaners, but the vast majority were people who were just cleaning once, maybe twice a week in their home just to keep their house clean. And these people found that they had significant loss of lung function that just got worse and worse over the 20 years that they followed this study. The average age, and by the way, the study tracked over 6,000 people. The average age was around 34 at the beginning of the study. So, and now, over 50% of the participants were women, and this is not a surprise in the sense that a lot of the cleaning, let's face it, guys, we're not usually the ones that do a lot of the cleaning unless somebody's asking us to, or we live by ourselves and, we know how that goes. But over 40%, almost 45% of them were non-smokers too. That's an important thing to realize because they did adjust the analysis for people that were smoking and those that had diagnoses of asthma, but the data was extensive and it ensured that each of the subjects was well characterized and they really worked hard to reduce the likelihood of misrepresentation in their data set. Now, this was commissioned in the European Union, but it's also been followed and had studies of the data set done by American medical associations. Not necessarily the AMA, but I want to say it was the Thoracic Physicians Association or something like that. Now, Here's kind of what they found. Um, Using national brand cleaners as little as once a week, damaging as smoking a pack of cigarettes. Um, and that's really kind of a huge thing because we all know that smoking is bad. And that it can cause you to have depleted lung capacity, which can lead to COPD, which can lead to all kinds of breathing issues, makes you more susceptible to a lot of diseases like catching the flu, and especially nowadays, it also is going to make you more susceptible to COVID. So it also, it impacts all of your fitness. It's the ability to breathe, because you need that oxygen, really. They found that women were more likely to be affected than men. Now, this doesn't have to do necessarily with the fact that there were more women doing the cleaning than men. They looked at the percentages of the people involved, and it seemed that women were more susceptible to this kind of lung damage. I think there's been previous research that had been done that showed that there was increased sensitivity for the female respiratory system, and I think that was determined with smoking and a couple other things. Now, here's one of the things that really struck me was that cleaning at home is just as, if not more, harmful than being an occupational cleaner. And the reason this is that when you're an occupational cleaner, you're usually using gloves. If you're using certain types of chemicals, they require that you use a mask. So there are some mitigating things that they use. Most people don't use that kind of stuff when they're cleaning at home. If you have sensitive skin and you're trying to protect your hands, you may be using gloves, but that doesn't change what gets into the air. And another aspect of it with the professional cleaners is that they're moving from room to room, and they don't tend to stay in that environment when they're done cleaning. When we clean our homes, we're still staying in the home. So all of these chemicals that are evaporating and getting into the air are going to still be there for you to encounter. So that really impacts us as well. Another aspect is that, at first they were thinking, well, is it just because people are using sprays and that's getting a mist in the air, and is that what's going on? And they found that it didn't really matter how it was being delivered or used. They found out that liquids, gels, wipes, there was no significant difference between sprays, liquids, gels, wipes, none of it. The chemicals in the liquid cleaners evaporate just like they do from the sprays, just like they do from the wipes. So it's the inhalation of those evaporating chemicals that's really causing a lot of this damage. Some of the dangerous chemical ingredients they found was ammonia. And I know when I was in the military, if it didn't smell like it had been cleaned with ammonia or bleach, then, usually you didn't think it was cleaned. Now, when I'm trying to remember the term, quaternary disinfectant, quaternary ammonia disinfectant compounds. Now, this is really key because these are very common these days that people are using, because that's one of the things that has to be on a product for it to be considered antibacterial. More in that later. So everybody's worried about disinfecting things these days because of COVID, and of course we're in flu season to begin with. So these people are using these things, and it's just accelerating the decline of their lungs. Now the damage is cumulative over time. So If you don't get to where you are not exposed to these, your lungs are never going to get a chance to heal. So if you're always using these things, you're always going to be having this cumulative damage coming over time. Now, I know a lot of people are out there going, well, if I'm not using these chemicals, what should I be using? Well, there are lots of natural-based cleaners that you can use. Some are more effective than others. But one of the things that the study found is that just changing how you're cleaning is going to change massively how this is affecting your lungs. Now, one of the things that I thought was interesting is I went to the was it Women's Voices for the Earth when I was doing my research. One of the things they mentioned was that using soap and water and a microfiber cloth is just as effective as far as killing off the E. coli and staph and that kind of stuff that a lot of people are trying to clean off, the germs and stuff that you usually are finding in your household. And there have been studies that show that there isn't really any health benefits as far as the cleanliness from using these harsh chemicals versus just soap and water. Now, granted, they may clean easier, they may do things easier, but is having it done easier worth the damage of the equivalent damage of smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, even though you're only cleaning one time a week? And there's from what I've read, there's not a single study out there that shows reduced illness at home from using antibacterial cleaners. In other words, nothing has proved that they're better, and there's nothing that's shown that they're worse as far as cleaning. They are worse for your lungs. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things that people are using. And here's some other things about using some of these things. Like if you're wiping down your food contact surfaces, cutting boards, and stuff like that with these antibacterial and antimicrobial wipes, you're not using them for surgery, but those chemicals can contaminate food. Because even though it may dry, they're still there. It may be visibly dry, but those compounds are still there, and they can still get on your food. So, using something that isn't going to contaminate you is good. Here's another thing that that was noted in one of the articles that I read. They found that in mice that there was resulting in lower fertility rates and poorer sperm quality and increased birth defects in mice that were exposed to these chemicals, just from when they were using them to clean their cages and that kind of stuff. And it took months of resanitizing these animal cages that had originally been cleaned with these quaternary disinfectant compounds until the mice were recovering as far as their reproduction and that kind of stuff. So if you're some of those folks that are out there looking to start a family, this kind of stuff can be impacting it if you're having issues with fertility and that kind of stuff as well. There's a lot of environmental damage that's happening, so maybe damaging things that you don't even realize. Now, I do have a fact sheet that I got from this website, the Women's Voices for the Earth, and I will be sharing that here in in the comments, and it gives some advice on where'd it go? It gives a lot of more advice about the quaternary ammonia compounds. And in fact, some of these things are being considered to be banned. They're thinking about changing the rules and saying, well, no, we don't think we should be using this kind of stuff. And by the way, it's not just in your cleaners and wipes that you're using on your counters. You got ammonia usually in your glass cleaner. You've got different kinds of stuff in your anti-grease cleaners. The stuff that you use to clean your toilet. So there's a lot of things there. Another big aspect of this is that we've heard about the overuse of antibiotics contributing to the creation of superbugs, basically bacteria and stuff that is resistant to the antibacterial cleaners and stuff that we're using, which means now we got to find something even more harsh to clean that. So just like the overuse of antibiotics can cause bugs that disease that will be harder for them to treat with medications, overuse of these kind of cleaning compounds can cause bacteria that'll be resistant to normal cleaners. So that's another big aspect to the whole thing. So the biggest thing that I think the takeaway is that we need to be mindful of what we're using in our environment. If you've got somebody in your family that has asthma, you're already mindful of what you're using to clean in the house. You're already opening up the house so that it can air out, because people with asthma are dealing with this. Keeping in mind that we want to make sure that we are keeping our family safe by cleaning in our home, we want to make sure we're doing it the right way. So keep in mind that, just regular soap and water will do the majority of what you need it to do. And you can find natural-based cleaners. I'd love to know, please comment. Let me know if natural-based cleaners are something that you use. I personally use it. We changed over our household, and we now are using almost exclusively natural-based cleaners for disinfecting, for doing our dishes, for doing our laundry. I've noticed a huge difference in how my hands feel after I do dishes. My hands don't feel like they're all dried out and making me want to run for lotion right away. I don't mind the kids doing their own laundry because we ain't using Tide Pods, so I'm not worried about them eating it. And if they get the stuff on their hands and stuff like that, just rinse it off. There's no long term. It's all biodegradable. It's natural stuff, and I'll tell you this much: it's cleaning our clothes fantastic. I'm one of those people that sweats a lot when it's warm, and I live in Texas, so it's warm a lot. So, I definitely get the funk on my clothes, so it's getting the funk out, which is good stuff. And then here's another aspect of it is it's not just your kids and your spouse. Don't forget your pets. They are down there right there on the floor, and if you're cleaning with these harsh chemicals, it's getting on them too. So this contributes to their wellness and their health as well. So keep in mind the kind of things that you're using, and really look at the ingredients. Like I said, I'm going to share the fact sheet that I got, and I will also share the website where I got the information from the women's Women's Voices for the Earth. I will also give you the website for the European Community Respiratory Health Survey, and you can look at it. They've gone back twice now. They did the initial, they did a secondary, and they've done a tertiary one now where they've gone back to collect more data. So I will be sharing that link in there as well. there's a lot of news articles out there too. I will share some of them, and some of these are from like 2018 or so. That was when the study was published. But there's stuff from the American Lung Association, the BBC, Forbes, Fortune, Fox News, Healthline, MSN, Newsweek did an article on it. So it's not like it's been hidden out there. Christy says that she uses natural base cleaner, allergic to everything. I know some people like that. Plain dish soap and water cleans great. Yep. In fact, that's typically what I'm using to clean when I'm cleaning my counters. Is I will use just some of the dish soap. I got some other things that I use too, but when I'm just like cleaning, I'm doing the dishes. I'm cleaning everything with that. So I'll be sharing some of those links as well if you'd like. Give me a comment if you want more of those news links. But I will definitely be posting that the link for the Women's Voices of the Earth, where they're talking about the disinfectant overkill, and I'll be posting that fact sheet that they provided. So to sum it all up, because I've been going on for about 20 minutes now, it's important to keep your house clean. Absolutely. It's essential to your wellness. But what you are using to clean your house is going to impact your wellness just as much. And it can have long-term cumulative effects, the equivalent of smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. Now, we don't let our kids smoke, so we want to make sure that we're keeping those kind of chemicals and stuff out of our houses so that we don't give them the equivalent lung damage. So let's make sure we're using the right kind of things and be as mindful as we possibly can about what we're exposing our loved ones to. So until tomorrow noon, Thursday, I can't remember off the top of my head. I got it written down somewhere what I'm going to be talking about. But don't forget Mental Health Mondays, noon Central Time, right here. And then Tuesday's tips, where I give you tips on photography, lighting, and that kind of stuff. So, look forward to seeing you guys. Thank you, Chrissy, for participating. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys' comments. If you're not seeing the live right there, then drop a replay in there and let me know that you're catching it on the replay. And if you guys have questions or topics that you'd like me to address, do some research on and address for wellness, drop those in the comments too. Let me know if there's things that you'd like to talk about, because I'm wanting to get good information out to as many people as I can. And you guys tell me what you're interested in, and I'll see what I can find out. So until next time, peace, love, and photography, folks. And remember, everything can make a beautiful image, including you. Have a great day.